Hey guys, what is going on today? BOJoeKO here, and welcome back finally to the long-awaited reoccurrence, the rebirth, the whatever you guys want to call it. Welcome back to another episode of Flyers Talk, our Flyers-centered podcast where we talk about, the NHL, but mostly we talk about the Philadelphia Flyers and everything that is going on with the team, whether it be players, whether it be trades, whether it be signings, new coaches, all that fun stuff. This is going to be that type of podcast. I only wanted to say it like that because I know there are a bunch of new subscribers since we've done the last Flyers Talk, and I kind of fell off on doing the podcast this year, so I blame graduation for that. But, I'm graduated college now, so I have a lot of free time on my hands, considering I'm unemployed right now. Whatever. I'll find a job eventually. Nothing about my life. Anyway, so basically what we're going to be doing here today is, since I have not done a Flyers Talk in the longest time, I think the last Flyers Talk I did, I don't even remember. What was it? I'm fairly certain it was talking about the Hartnell RJ Umberger trade. I don't think I did one Flyers Talk throughout the entire year this year, which is I'm pretty upset about. But we're looking to definitely make some changes on this podcast type deal for the coming season. And before I dive into all the stuff that we're going to talk about today, we're going to be talking about pretty much everything. We're going to do like an entire season review of the Flyers. We're going to talk about the offseason stuff, what should be done in the offseason. We're going to talk about the new head coach. We're going to talk about some signings that have been done, possible returns of some players, possible trade scenarios. We're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about the IIHF. We're going to talk about basically every single thing that I did not touch on this year, or what we can touch on the offseason, and we're going to be going through that right now. So before we dive into that, I wanted to talk about the possible future of this type of podcast, and what I really want to do with it for the future is, instead of making it like I had before, I wanted to do it as kind of like just a weekly wrap up of all the games that the Flyers do, 3 games during the week, every Sunday, put out a podcast, and then either give that out to you guys Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on whether you want to watch it or not. Because most of the time, these podcasts will be very, very long, probably like more than half an hour. Sometimes they may be shorter than a half an hour, who knows, because I can talk on for days about myself. But that's kind of what we have. The plan was to do it every week. But I think the new plan, is going to be do it after every single game. Kind of like a game review, but also just so that I have something to talk about to you guys after every single Flyers game. There'll be 82 of them throughout the year unless something strange happens. That's kind of what my goal is right now. Just after the Flyers game is over, do a game review of it, throw the podcast up, and we'll be good to go. But that is all dependent on you guys. If you want to do short, 10, 20-minute podcasts after every single Flyers game, I can do that. If you want me to do the way I have it before, just a weekly wrap-up of all the games on that Sunday, I can do that as well. That's all dependent on you guys. I really wanted to try to do it after every game, but now that I kind of think about it, if they have a really, really, really big week and I, have issues with work and stuff like that, then it could be a little bit troublesome. But if I definitely just set my standards to do something every single week on a Sunday, I think that might be the better route to take. But you guys can let me know. If you want to hear 82 of them throughout the year, let me know. If you want to hear however many weeks the hockey season is, if you want to hear like 20 or 30 of them, I can do that as well. Have some exceptions to the rule, throw in like a trade deadline, draft, All-Star game special type of deal. We can do that as well. But without further ado, let's dive into the Philadelphia Flyers, and let's start with the season in a long review. So, the Flyers' year this year was interesting, to say the least. The Flyers did indeed miss the playoffs for, I believe, second time in 5 years, I want to say. I believe the other 2 years that they did not make the playoffs were the lockout year and then not last year, but the previous year after that when they did not make the playoffs as well. So this year they did not make the playoffs at all. What was their record this year? I have my computer in front of me, so if I do not have stats or anything like that right up to the exact moment, you can stick with me here because I'm going to be looking up all this stuff right now. All right, so they did finish 33, 31, and 18. That is a ton of overtime losses this year, guys. That is one of the main reasons the Flyers did not make it to the playoffs at all. You take half of those points, you take half of those overtime losses and turn them into wins, giving us an extra point in there. Might have been a little bit of a closer race. I mean, that would have given us an additional 9 more points to maybe put us up to like 93 points. Still would have missed the playoffs, but still, it would have been a lot closer of a race than I would say. But still, they finished 33, 31, and 18 for 84 points for third in the Metropolitan Division. And they ended up getting the 7th overall pick in this year's NHL draft. So that's how the team ended up this year. They started out pretty slowly, and they kind of picked it up toward the middle of the year. But then once the playoff race kind of picked itself back up, they kind of had, they had their chances to definitely make some runs at the playoffs. But then they just flopped against a bunch of different teams that, the Flyers' troubles this year were they couldn't beat the teams that they were supposed to beat. Flyers had an amazing home record this year. They were 23, 11, and 7 at home. There's nothing to harp on that home record. That was one of the best home records in the entire NHL. But when it comes to the away games, 10, 20, and 11, that's pretty pathetic. That was one of the worst away records in the entire NHL. So that's where they stood in the division. Now we can take a look at the players this year. And if we have to take a look at some of the players that stood out this year, I think everybody can agree Jakub Voracek had probably the best year I think he may ever have. 22 goals, 59 assists for 81 points for Jakub Voracek this year. One of the greatest. I just don't know. I do not know what possessed this guy this year. This guy was from the tear from the get-go. Him and Giroux were at one point the most dominant pair in the NHL when the Flyers were still struggling. It just blew my mind because I have multiple. It just blew my mind this year to just see that for as much as the Flyers were struggling this year, Jakub Voracek and Claude Giroux still managed to get points night in and night out on the team. Giroux finished pretty good. Anybody who says Giroux had a shitty year, I don't know what you're talking about. 25 goals, 48 assists for 73 points. That's a good year. I mean, 73 points is a very good year for a first-line center. I mean, I don't know why anybody would argue against that. Oh, Giroux, he's not the captain. He should be stripped of the captain. He's not a first-line player. Get out of here, man. It's a good year. 73 points. The problem with that is there was nobody else to help them. Jakub Voracek and Claude Giroux are two very good first-line players, and that's where the struggles are at because there was no left winger to help them out this year. Nobody really stood up to the task on the left wing, whether it was Braden Shen, whether it was Michael Raffl. I'll get to him in a minute because he still did have an amazing year, whether it was Michael Raffl or whether it was Wayne Simmonds at one point. Flyers still lack that first-line left winger that they need on this team, and hopefully that will be coming soon. There are some players down there in the system or players on this team that I think can have a very good year and boost them up to possibly fill out that left wing spot, but it didn't seem to work out moving Braden Shen from center to wing or, Michael Raffl's a natural center, but he's adjusted to the left wing just fine. I don't think Braden Shen, who was supposed to be that person on the first line, I don't think he lived up to the hype of playing that first line left wing spot. All right, so we're moving down the points here. Mark Streit had a very good year. I'm very surprised that he got 50 points as a defenseman with 40 plus assists. So I have no problems with Mark Streit this year. He did a pretty good job, a lot of power play time. Wayne Simmonds, once again, another really good year from Wayne Simmonds. Dealt with an injury at the end of the year, but still had a very good year. 50 points on the year from Wayne Simmonds. Almost a 30-goal scorer, but a lot of those 14 power play goals for Wayne Simmonds. Absolutely insane. I'm telling you, man, ever since Danny Briere left, Wayne Simmonds has become the new garbage goal getter in front of the net on the power play. Just puts himself right in front of the goalie, shields the puck, deflects it, rebounds attempts. he's definitely one of the better power play guys out there, surprisingly. And Wayne Simmons was, he had one hell of a year, a very underrated year, but 50 points is still good for him. Shen, 47 points for him. Sean Couturier did not have the best year. He did have 37 points with 15 goals and 22 assists, but we'll get to Sean Couturier in a little bit. Not the best year I thought Coots definitely could have had. Michael Del Zotto, we'll get to him as well. Can I sort this by defenseman and forwards, or can I just look at forwards? Position. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay, now we can look at all the defensemen and centers. All right, can I sort it by points, or is that going to put it out of whack? Yeah, that's going to put it out of whack. All right, let me just do it by position then. Stupid Flyers website. Okay, so let's take a look at just all the centers then. So, Vinny Lecavalier only played 57 games this year, 20 points. RJ Umberger, 15 points. Yeah, great trade for Hartnell. I mean, it's good in the long run, but point-wise, we all knew that was going to happen. Chris Van de Velde, very good year for him, 15 points. Very good, reliable fourth line. Blair Jones, we could skip over him. Ryan White, very surprising as well, 12 points in 34 games. Good year for him, I would say. Zach Rinaldo, 6 points. We'll leave him out of this. Shem, we talked about. Nick Cousins got some NHL action at the end of the year, played some 11 points. Got 11 games played, did not get any points. Was a +1, though. Hopefully he'll continue to grow down there in the AHL. Sean Couturier, we talked about. Scott Lawton got some time at the end of the year as well. 31 games for him. Well, he played some time at the beginning of the year, and then we moved him back down. Got 6 points, 2 goals, 4 assists. So once again, I think Scott Lawton is definitely ready for the NHL team. Where he's going to play, not quite sure yet, but we'll definitely get to that. Mark Streit, we already talked about. Nick Schultz, one of the more reliable, surprising defensemen that I saw this year. 15 points for him. Pretty decent on the power play, not going to lie. Second line power play for Nick Schultz when injuries definitely started to happen down the year. Nick Schultz was definitely a surprise. Carlo Koliakovo, just a replacement player there for injuries. Don't see him coming back next year. Nicholas Grossman, 14 points for him. Andy McDonald, 12 points. It's kind of a disappointing year for McDonald, to say the least. 50 games played for him. Luke Shen, 14 points. Yeah. Michael Del Zotto, the surprise a lot of Flyers players saw. Had some up and downs this year, but overall, he was one of the better defensemen, I think, that the Flyers had this year. 32 points from Michael Del Zotto this year. Very, very good year. Lordson played 1 game. Brandon Manning got some time in there for injuries, so he played 11 games, 3 points for him. He's signed for 1 more year. Is he going to make it on the NHL team? I don't think so, because we'll definitely get to that. Mark Alt played 1 game. Shane Gostisbehere played 2 games. Michael Raffl. Here's the problem with Michael Raffl. Michael Raffl played 67 games this year. 21 goals, 7 assists for 28 points. Now, I think the Raffl check line can be a very successful line. Do I think Michael Raffl's a first-line player? No, I don't think so. But does he work well with Claude Giroux and Jacob Voracek? Yes, he does. I guarantee you, if Michael Raffl did not get injured for however many games that he get injured for, around 20, 15 games injured, this guy would have had 30 goals. I guarantee you. 21 goals for Michael Raffl. He had a 20-goal season. This guy, he can be a second-line player. I really do. He's more suited for a third-line role, yes, but I like the way that he works with Claude Giroux and Jacob Voracek. That's my whole stick about that. Michael Raffl had a very good year. Very, very good year. If he didn't get hit with the injury bug, he would have had 30, 40 points and maybe 30 goals scored. I honestly still see him sticking around on this team as a very good third-line player. But first-line duties, I don't think so. I don't think he's ready for the first line. Second line, yeah, I definitely think he can be well on the second line if he's put with the right players. But first line, I don't think so. Even though he works well with the two, I still think he's a good third-liner. P.A. Bellemare, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, very good fourth-liner as well. 12 points for him. He had a good year. Voracek, we already talked about. Simmons, we talked about. Straka got a couple games in there, 2 points for him. Jason Atkinson had 13 games played at the beginning and the end of the year. No points for him. He is a restricted free agent. I sadly do not see Jason Atkinson making a return to the team, to be honest. And then Matt Reed, one of the worst years I've ever seen Matt Reed play. He had 30 points, 8 goals, 22 assists, but Matt Reed was honestly a big disappointment. All right, so let's talk about the forwards here. Vinny Lecavalier, RJ. Let's talk about the third line. Sean Couturier, RJ Umberger, and Matt Reed. Where do I start with these guys? Where do I really start with these guys? Sean Couturier does not deserve to be put with Matt Reed and RJ Umberger. If you guys have been watching the IIHF, I'm definitely going to get to that later, but, you know, I'm going to be jumping in and out of stuff throughout this entire thing. If you saw Sean Couturier's line mates, who was he putting a line with? I'm pretty sure it was Taylor Hall and... was it Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I think it was? I'm pretty sure he was grouped together with those two, with the Edmonton pair, with Taylor Hall on his left and the Nuge on his right. Even though Nuge, I think, is a natural center. I'm fairly sure. I know for a fact Couturier played with Taylor Hall. I just don't know who his other line mate was. Was it the Nuge? I remember looking at a thing, man. I do not remember that. Actually, I'm going to look on Twitter while I think about that. But still, Sean Couturier flourishes when he has very, 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 very good line mates beside him. And he does not deserve to be put on a line with RJ Umberger and Matt Reed, especially when Matt Reed had one of the worst years this year. I don't know what the hell was wrong with Matt Reed this year, but he couldn't hit the net. He couldn't hit the net. When he did have a chance to hit the net, he missed the goddamn wide open net. And then RJ Umberger is just goddamn terrible. I thought he was, you know, I had some expectations for RJ Umberger this year. I thought he was going to be a lot faster skating than Scott Hartnell was. I thought he was going to be a lot better defensively than Scott Hartnell was. I was wrong on both of those parts. He is slow. He cannot generate much offense, and he's not that great defensively. Only reason for that trade was making it better for the long run for the Philadelphia Flyers, which I thank Ron Hextall for doing. But honestly, it's not, you know, it just didn't work out there. And Sean Couturier does not deserve to have those line mates with him now. Before I do go that, I want to see who did Sean Couturier play with. If I look at I'm going on to Flyers Nation here because I want to see where those lineup things were. Let's see. We'll talk about the trades too, because they didn't really talk about those trades at all. Is it here? They might have retweeted it, to be honest. Yeah, we're all the way back to February. Oof, man. Let me see. Tweets and replies. Hold on. We should be able to get this here. It shouldn't be too far back. Should not be that far back, because there was one point where they retweeted like a lineup of the IIHFs, because I want to see who. There it is. Yeah, it wasn't Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I'm sorry, it was Jordan Eberle. Yeah, so Sean Couturier was paired up with Taylor Hall and Jordan Eberle basically throughout the entire tournament, and that's why Sean Couturier flourished during this tournament, because when you got, even though I'm sorry, Edmonton Oilers fans, but even though the Edmonton Oilers suck, you cannot deny that Taylor Hall and Jordan Eberle are two very good players. So when you put a really good center in there, a two-way center between Taylor Hall and Jordan Eberle, Couturier is going to, you know, flourish. Now, the thing is, so the logical explanation here would be, okay, well, move Claude Giroux to the wing and put Sean Couturier between Giroux and Voracek. The thing is, Sean Couturier is not as good as a centerman as face-off wise as Claude Giroux is, so I don't think that's going to work out too well. The Flyers need to go out there and get the left wing, first line left winger that they need, and I think Sean Couturier just needs better line mates. I really do. If you put him with Matt Reed and RJ Umberger, he's going to continue to show those results that he did here, not putting up that many points. And Sean Couturier has the possibility to be a 50, 60-point getter if he has the right wingers there. But if you continue to put guys like RJ Umberger and Matt Reed beside him, he's going to continue to show the exact same stats that he showed this year. Okay. Was there any other notable things here? I think the fourth line did great this year. Chris Vandevelde, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Ryan White. I'm not going over Zach Ronaldo because, you know, we can just ignore him as a whole. But I really think the fourth line was really, really successful this year. Chris Vandevelde, a guy who's gone in and out of the lineup, I think, for the past 2 years. He really proved himself this year as a fourth line player. I definitely think the fourth line is really solid there. I know Vandevelde and Ryan White are, I think, restricted or unrestricted free agents this year. So I think it would be smart to sign those guys for the fourth line yet again, as I really do think they worked out, especially Ryan White. Very impressed by the ways those guys showed it. How about the rookies? Cousins, I really want him to get a goal. I'm sorry, I really want Nick Cousins to get a goal. Scott Laughton, like I said, I do think he's NHL ready. Where he fits out on the team, that is to be determined. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to go over there. All right, let's hit up the goaltenders now. Steve Mason, 51 games played, 2.25, 18, 18, and 11. Had a very rough beginning of the year. Definitely picked up his game at the end of the year. Once again, the struggling fact of Steve Mason not getting much goal support this year. 2.25. That's a good goals against average. That's one of the better goals against average. And he has a save percentage of .928. That was he was one of the top. Go look at the stats, guys. I'm pretty sure Steve Mason was ranked like top 5 or top 10, top 7 at least in the stats this year for the goaltenders. He was that good this year. There's no doubt in my mind that Steve Mason is a #1 goaltender. You just need a better defense in front of him. I said that during our season's prediction well at the beginning of the year. Steve Mason can be a good goaltender, but can the defense in front of him be good enough to support him? And this year, that was unfortunately not the case. The defense was not good enough to support him, so he struggled at some points. Ray Emery, not the greatest year for him. 10, 11, and 7. 31 starts for him at 3.06 goals against average. I do not see Ray Emery coming back this year. Let me look at his contract length. I'm pretty sure he's not even on this thing. Hold on. Contracts. I'm pretty sure Ray Emery's not under contract right now. Hold on. Ray Emery, yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent coming into this year. I do not see him being re-signed at all. I definitely do not. I think the Flyers will have to go out there and get a backup goaltender of some fashion, or call up somebody else. Now remember, you have two possible guys you can go with. You can go with the rookie, Anthony Stolarz, if he surprises some people in camp, or you could go with the 33-year-old man-child, Rob Zepp, who actually did play very well for the Flyers this year. 10 games played, 5-2, 2.89 goals against average, save percentage .888. But Rob Zepp definitely played better at some points than Ray Emery did. So I don't see Emery being re-signed at all. I can see Rob Zepp taking his place, or if Anthony Stolarz surprises a lot of people in camp, which possibly could happen, he could get the backup job. So that's for the goaltending situation right there. I don't see Emery getting re-signed. I do definitely see Rob Zepp or Anthony Stolarz taking the backup role next year behind Steve Mason. Okay, so that's the whole team review as an overview. Like I said, they overall as a team, they struggled. They couldn't beat the teams that they were supposed to beat. Defense let the goaltender down in some fashions, and there was just no depth on the team this year, other than Claude Giroux, Jacob Voracek, Wayne Simmons, and a couple other guys here and there with goal support. There was just not enough depth goal scoring. You go from 81 points, 73 points, 50 points in Wayne Simmons, 50 in Braden Shen, all the way down to 37 with Sean Couturier, and then down to 30 with Matt Reed. Just no goal scoring. There's no depth goal scoring enough from the first line and the top six. Top six, there was just not enough of it this year, and that's why the Flyers struggled a lot. Okay, let's talk about the trades that were made. Remember, the Flyers made 2 trades this year. They traded away Braden Coburn to the Tampa Bay Lightning for a first-round pick. Bravo by Ron Hext for a first-round pick. Radko Gudas, and did they get a third as well? Fairly certain they got a third. Hold on, let me check that out. All right, Flyers trade Coburn. They made 2 trades. They traded 2 picks. Yeah, I think it did say 2 picks. A first. Yeah, okay. So they got a first and a third, and Radko Gudas back in term for this trade. So, bravo for Ron Hextall on this trade. I definitely think the Flyers made out like champions here. Even though Tampa Bay's in the Eastern Conference Finals, fair enough. Coburn and Carl having their good old time there on the back end for the Tampa Bay defense. That's all fine and dandy. We got a first-round pick for Braden Coburn. How the hell Ron Hextall managed that, I don't even know. You got a third-round pick back, and you got an enforcer defenseman. That's great. honestly, Flyers need an enforcer defenseman right now. There's nobody on that Flyers D right now that teams are afraid of. I mean, who are they afraid of getting hit by? Who are they afraid of right now? Luke Schenn? Pfft, give me a break. Putting an enforcer type defenseman back there like Radko Gudas will definitely, it'll scare some other forwards about thinking twice about, just casually going into the zone of the Flyers thing. Having Radko Gudas back there, having him a tough guy like that, throwing his body around, will definitely get the surprise of some forwards on other teams for the defense. So I'm pretty glad that they got that trade there. Flyers made out like champions in that deal. And then the other trade, unfortunately, Flyers traded away Kimmo Timonen. It had to be done. He didn't play a single game for the Flyers this year, but they still managed to trade him. Chicago was thankful enough to take him off our hands for, I believe, a second-round pick and a conditional pick. And that conditional pick is looking even better right now because we got a second-round pick for him this year, so that'll be in our draft for 2015. And then the conditional pick right now is a 2016 pick. Right now, it started out as a fourth. But Kimmo played a lot of games for the Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks did make it to the second round of the playoffs. So currently, right now, that pick stands at a third-round pick in 2016. But if the Chicago Blackhawks can make it past the Anaheim Ducks, which is the main reason I'm rooting for the Chicago Blackhawks in this playoff, is because I think Kimmo Timonen deserves that Stanley Cup, so I'm definitely rooting for him to get that. But as a secondary option, I'm also rooting for the Blackhawks to beat the Anaheim Ducks in that series, so that conditional third-round pick will go all the way back up to a second-round pick. So essentially, if that happens, we would have traded Kimmo Timonen for 2 second-round picks, and that is a great steal on the behalf of the Philadelphia Flyers. 2 great trades that Ron Hextall made this year. Very, very good. Okay. There's that. So next up is the new head coach, right? That is the new head coach. Yes, indeedy. So if you guys didn't notice, Craig Berube was fired at the end of this year, and we were in the bid for the what's his face? Oh, wow. The Maple Leafs just signed him today. Crap. What's his name? Wow. What's his name? Holy shit. Wow. I do not know his name. Wow. That is embarrassing. Who is the Detroit Red Wings coach? Hold on. Toronto Maple Leafs. Following them. Twitter. Mike Babcock. That's what it was. Jesus, man. How did I not know that? Yeah. The Toronto Maple Leafs managed to get Mike Babcock, so we were out of the running there. So what does Ron Hextall do? Does something completely out of the ordinary and signs pretty much the first college coach to come to the NHL. We signed Dave Haxtell, who was the hockey coach at the University of North Dakota, and he is going to be the new head coach for the Philadelphia Flyers. As you can see, I'm just reading some of his stats right now off of Flyers.com. 0.654 winning percentage in 11 years as a North Dakota head coach. Went to 7 different Frozen Fours and 8-time finalist for the Spencer Penrose Award for the top NCAA coach. 11 for 11 in NCAA postseason appearances. So for the 11 years that he was coaching the University of North Dakota, he made the playoffs every single season. 7 Holtby Baker Awards finalists for the top NCAA hockey player. So he coached of his 11 times. 7 of those guys got the top NCAA player, All-Americans as well. And he's coached 46 professional players, including 20 in the NHL, ranging from the likes of Jonathan Taves, TJ Oshie, Travis Zajac, Drew Stafford, Matt Green, and Chris Vandevelde. So, this is going to be interesting. This is big. To be funny enough, this is the second time right now that we've already gotten a head coach from college in Philadelphia sports moving over to a professional sport. We've already done it with the Eagles. We've already taken Chip Kelly away from Oregon to coach the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I guess Ron Hextall's taking a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles book and signing a college coach to come coach in the NHL. I think this is going to be really interesting, to say the least. I think the college hockey is definitely a lot different than I guess coach. I think taking a college coach is a lot different than taking a coach from, say, like the Canadian hockey leagues, because I think it takes a lot more difficult coaching for guys in college rather than it does in Canadian leagues, because one, the players are a lot older, so they're in their 20s, like 21, 22, 20, 21, 22 is their range for the coaches that are coaching these type of players. When in the CHL, you're coaching guys who are like 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. So I think there's a lot different of an age difference, and I think that might help out when when Dave Hackstall has to coach some players here in the NHL. So we're gonna have to see how this turns out. Honestly, I'm skeptical on the signing right now. I was hoping we could have got a much more established NHL coach, but this is something interesting. I think this is really the first time that this has ever happened here in ever in the entire NHL, where a college coach is now going to coach a NHL team, and why not have it be Philly? So it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. I like the move, and I really do think that it is going to be very interesting to see how it turns out. And I'll leave it at that. So we got the new coach. We did the whole team review. Let's take a look at the rookies. How have some of the rookies done this year for the Philadelphia Flyers? Well, some of them are in the playoffs. One being, I think a lot of the Flyers rookies actually won championships this year. I know Tyrell Goulbourne won one with the who's he play for? Does he play for Lake Erie? I forget who he plays for, but I know Tyrell Goulbourne he won a championship with every team he plays with. Sam Warren won the QMJHL title with Rimouski, so they're going to the Memorial Cup. Travis Sanheim had one of the most phenomenal years for a Calgary Hitman defenseman I've ever seen. He was the most dominant player out there in the WHL for defensemen. My goodness, hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. I know there was a Flyers like rookies 2015 recap. Let's see. There's got to be like a thing here that shows it. Hold on. Let's see if I go to news. Prospect update. There you go. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. The prospect update. Yes. Is this commercial or what are we doing here? Prospect update. Come on. Thank you. Okay. All right, so doing a prospect update here. Kelowna Rockets. That's who it was. Okay, so Goulbourne won it with them. Morin's in the QMJHL going to the Memorial Cup now. He's doing good. I think Sanheim's out, but I know he had one hell of a year. Let me see. Prospect playoff update. Snow. Flyers did make some signings too. I'll get to those in a minute. Where was it? Prospect update, junior playoffs, action shots. No, where is it? Let me look at this. Let me just look at the prospect up for the juniors. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it did go there. Like I said, Radel Fazleaf. He also plays with Travis Sanheim in the Calgary Hitmen. So he had a good year, I think. So he was looking good. Sam Warren, we already know he's going to the Memorial Cup. Nicholas Albay-Kubel, he had a decent year, I think. So he'll be interesting to see. Tyrell Goulbourne won with the Kelowna Rockets. That's good. Sanheim had an outstanding year this year. Travis Sanheim had one of the best years I think Calgary Hitman defenseman has ever had. I think he got 70 points. I'm pretty sure he had 70 points this year for the team. The guy is going to be an absolute stud. And that was it. Pretty much all throughout the juniors. The AHL guys, nobody really had a great year in the AHL playoffs. You know, Gostisbehere dealt with an injury, so he really didn't get that much time this year as he should have did. But I think next year we'll have to see. I think one more year in the AHL for Gostisbehere, and then I think he's up there. Robert Hagg played in the AHL as well. The defensemen are definitely making their route to the NHL team soon. When that's going to be, definitely in the next 2 years, if not next year. Okay, so now we know that the Flyers did make some signings as well. During the offseason, they signed They signed Christian Marty. They got Danik Martel, and I believe they just made a signing today, grabbing the free agent defenseman from the KHL, Evgeny Medvedev. So they got a 6'3", 187 two-way defenseman, Medvedev. I'm terrible with goddamn Russian names. So Medvedev, he is 32 years old, from Chelyabinsk, Russia. He's played 7 years in the KHL. He recently got the silver medal at the IIHF Championships with Russia. He also got a gold medal winning with the Russian team in 2014 at the World Championships. He's gotten how many points? Does it say what his point total is? 7 years in the KHL and internationally. So he's just played a lot of internationally, and I think he's regarded as one of the best KHL defensemen out there. So that's interesting. But the problem with this is now we have 9 defensemen under contract. So that means somebody's got to go on defense, whether it's a forward or a defenseman. Somebody's got to go out of here. Now, I had that contracts list, which I want to bring up for you guys. Where was that at? Where was that? Was it earlier today? Where was team contracts? Okay. So as you guys know, before Hextall makes even any moves, because he still needs to get a backup goaltender here if he wants to go out and sign one, but there's some good things that happen with the cap this year. Let me show you guys who are free agents this year. So Jason Atkinson is a restricted free agent. I don't see him getting signed. Kolyakovo, I don't see him getting signed. Belmar's under contract, he'll be back. Cousins is under contract, he'll be back. Couture's making $2 million this year. He has to be re-signed the following year. I can see him asking a lot of money. Delzato is a restricted free agent. If Ron Hextall's smart, he'll re-sign Michael Delzato. Ray Emery's unrestricted. Don't see him coming back. Claude Giroux, he'll be back. Grossman. There's one of the players that I think Ron Hextall can trade out of here for a pick. Now, like I said, if we have 9 different defensemen right now currently under contract on this team, he has to make a trade. This is one of the guys who I think he can move out here, whether it's at the draft or come the deadline soon or during the regular season. He's one of the guys I think we can move out here. Nicholas Grossman. He's going to be making $3.5 million for 1 more year. He's 30 years old. I definitely think it is time for Nicholas Grossman to bite the dust out of here. He's definitely aging. You can tell he's aging. He's aging a lot quicker for a 30-year-old than you would think. And plus the fact that Medvedev got signed for 1 year at $3 million. Yeah, we got to get rid of some cap here. So Grossman is definitely somebody who I think could get out here. Nothing more than a pick. I'll be perfectly happy with a draft pick back from Nicholas Grossman. No prospects or whatever. A draft pick will be perfectly fine for him. Okay, Gudaz, he's going to be making 1.4 next year. That's fine. We have to see what he does. Vinny Lecavalier, I would love to get him out of here, but nobody's going to take on that contract. Nobody's going to take on $4.5 million next year for Vinny and $3 million for the following year. Nobody's going to do that. So, unfortunately, we're going to be stuck with him. Andy McDonald, there's another name that I would love to get out of here, but once again, don't know who's going to take that contract. He signed all the way up until 2019-2020, where he'll be making almost $5 million. At the end of that contract, he'll be making $4.5 million next year. So I don't know what team is going to be able to take that if we can move him out. But if some team could take Andy McDonald off our hands, that's a lot of cap relief right there. Okay, Brandon Manning, he'll be an AHL guy, I would assume. Steve Mason, he'll be back. Medvedev, we know what he's dealing with. Here's the big one right here. Chris Pronger. Now, the Flyers are still going to have Chris Pronger signed under contract. Why? And we're also going to have more cap room this year. Why? Because last year was the final year of Chris Pronger's contract where... All right, sorry about that, guys. My leg fell asleep. And I also had a computer overload. So this is actually day number 2 of recording this podcast. So there will be some new news that we will be able to talk about in today. But... like I said, this is the last year of Chris Pronger's big contract where he won't be making $4 million anymore. He's going to be making $575,000. So there's $3 million worth of 3.5 really of cap room available that Ron Hextall has to work with. But unfortunately, he's already, kind of spent that money on Medvedev's contract. So that's where $3 million of that's going. And honestly, I still do think, though, a trade is going to have to happen sooner or later. Like I said, we have 9 defensemen signed under contract, so it's not unrealistic to see Grossman, McDonald, or Luke Shen be traded away from this team to free up some cap space so that Ron Hextall has some more wiggle room to do whatever he wishes to do with that extra money that he will be available to have. So that's that. Okay, so since this is day 2, there is some new news that I do want to talk to you guys about briefly. The Flyers signed another person from the KHL. They signed Aaron Paluja, I believe, who was a former AHL player for the Charlotte Checkers, which is the Carolina Hurricanes AHL team. So I don't see him making an NHL impact, but, he could surprise some people at a camp, maybe make a 4th-line role. You never know. So he got signed yesterday. And also, the one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was there were rumors happening, I believe, last week of Eric Gustafsson, who the Flyers still currently do have the rights to. If you guys don't remember what happened to him, he unfortunately left the Flyers team and went and signed in the KHL because, understandably, Gustafsson was not getting the playing time that he felt like he deserved on the Flyers roster. So he went into the KHL to play for 1 season. He was thinking about having a return to the NHL, but unfortunately today we got notified on Twitter that he will be leaving the team that he was playing for in the KHL, but he does plan on staying in European hockey. So unfortunately, Gustafsson will not be making a return to the NHL. At this point, the Flyers have way too many defensive players signed and players to deal with at this point. So honestly, it's not that big of a deal that we're not going to have Eric Gustafsson back. Okay, so that's done with that. Now I wanted to move on to the draft really quickly. I just wanted to talk about the draft pretty briefly. I know that I'm gonna be making another separate draft video, whether it's like a full prediction on the entire draft or that players that I think the Flyers should pick up. But I just wanted to talk about it really briefly, and then I'm going to hit up the comment questions that you guys had for me there. And then we'll, because I did make a giveaway winner, so we'll pick a winner for that after this. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the draft briefly. So we know who's going number 1, number 2. McDavid and Eichel are going 1 and 2, respectively, whatever team that's going to be, whether it's Edmonton, Buffalo, we don't know yet. But coming into 3, 4, and 5, you have Noah Hannafin, Dylan Strome, and Mitch Marner, I believe, are all going to be taking. So it's going to be really interesting when it comes down to 6 and 7 between the New Jersey Devils and the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, my personal opinion of who I want the Flyers to draft. There's 2 possibilities who I think the Flyers would really work out well here. One of them would be Mikko Rantanen, and the other one would be Lawson Crouse. Personal opinion, I would rather take Crouse over Rantanen. I think both players would work out well on the Flyers team, but for personal opinion, I would rather the Flyers take Lawson Crouse here because the Flyers need a power forward on this team. Lots of two-way forwards, lots of a couple power forwards and grinders on the 4th line, a couple snipers in here. Flyers do not really have a general power forward, I guess you could say. I consider Wayne Simmons a 2-way forward rather than a power forward because Simmons is actually pretty good defensively. But I think Lawson Crouse would be a great addition to this team. Like I said, you need a power forward after Scott Hartnell left. You need somebody to protect the top line. He could be a very good future top line player. Even though a lot of people are saying that Lawson Crouse is one of the players who is going to be picked a lot higher than he should be. Now, if I go and take a look at Lawson Crouse's stats for elite prospects here. Well, actually, we can take a look at the NHL 15 mock draft review of him. So he's 6'3", 200 pounds, a left winger. There you go. You need a left winger. Jake Voracek is on the right, Giroux center. Like I said, he's a big body guy. He protects the puck, solid on his skates. I can see the ice barrels through. A lot of people are comparing him to a Milan Lucic type of player. So it's pretty interesting to see how he's actually going to project there. You have 51 Yeah, he had 51 points this year. Was almost a 30 goal scorer with 29 points, 29 goals, 22 assists. He did play in the IIHF World Juniors for. Did he play for Canada? Pretty sure he played for Canada. Yeah, he played for Canada, right? Yeah, Kingston Frontenacs. He's in the OHL. He definitely played for Canada. So, yeah, that's one of the players I think would be really, really great. A big physical forward who, he can hit, he can score. A lot of people, like I said, are comparing him to a Milan Lucic type of player with a much more offensive-minded skill set to him. Now, if I want to go look at Mikko Rantanen, we can take a look at Mikko Rantanen here, who is, if this page would load, so we got a Finnish player here in Mikko Rantanen. He is also a center and/or type winger. He's 6'4", 209, so they're both pretty big, but I think these guys have. He's the number one ranked NHL scout, number one ranked European skater here. So he's from TPS. He had what do you have? He 28 points this year basically. He played in the Finland under 20 things. So he had 9 goals, 19 assists. Let's see, he's a playmaker type player. So I don't think the Flyers really need a playmaker. I really do think they need a power forward there. Like I said, they're saying he needs improvements in his shot and his physical play, as he doesn't take advantage of his size. So he's a big body forward, but he doesn't use his body to his advantage. And that's where I think Lawson Crouse outplays Mikko Rantanen in this aspect. Now, there's actually a questionable thing here. He could go anywhere. He can honestly go from anywhere from 4 all the way to 7 between the Flyers, or some players could even skip on him. But I think Lawson Crouse is or Cruz, however you guys want to say it. I think he is the perfect fit for the Philadelphia Flyers here. I was talking to my one friend who is a New Jersey Devils fan, not Deke. I'm not talking to Deke, but why would I ever talk to Deke? Anyway, but just kidding, Deke. I love you. But I was talking to my one friend, Ant, who is also a New Jersey Devils fan. He was talking about that there is a possible trade looming between the New Jersey Devils and the St. Louis Blues, because the New Jersey Devils need a top 6 scoring forward. And there was possible rumors flying around of Eric Jelena and the New Jersey Devils first-round pick going to the St. Louis Blues in return for TJ Oshie. So there's a possible thing right there. Even though if the Blues do get that pick, I don't see them picking a power forward type player in Lawson Crouse. I do see them maybe possibly taking Mikko Rantanen, because they already have a lot of international players on their team. I mean, they already got Tarasenko, they got Laterra, they already have a power forward too in David Backes as well. They got a lot of big bodied forwards on that St. Louis Blues team. So I don't think Lawson Crouse will work out for them. So honestly, I think that is the perfect player right there for the Philadelphia Flyers, waiting for them at number 7. And then you can wait till number 26 and take a defenseman or take another forward if you need to. So I definitely think that's where the Flyers, right now, that's where I think the mindset is for the Flyers, is to take a power forward and then wait for the 26th pick from the Tampa Bay Lightning and possibly take probably take a defenseman or maybe even a goaltender. You never know there. Always could use some extra goaltender prospects, because, Stolarz is good, but, he's struggling, it seems, in the AHL. So maybe we want to pick up another goaltender prospect if there's going to be any left. But that's the mindset I think right now. Lawson Crouse would be the perfect addition for the Philadelphia Flyers come draft time. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this podcast here. We're just going to close it out with some questions that I had some people answer on Twitter. Like I said, if you guys do want to ask some questions for this podcast, always make sure to use the hashtag Flyers Talk. It's a very reoccurring hashtag, so I definitely have to look at it here. So there's not a lot of people asking me some questions, so I have to go down here a good bit and find out who it is. Where the questions are, so give me a minute. May 20th. Okay, so here's where this thing is starting to come in. Okay. Okay. Let's just take some of these questions here. I'm not going to answer all of them. I'm just going to take a select few of them. All right. So we're going to take this one here from where was I? Just saw my Twitter handle. There it is. We'll take this one from Slipknot1457. With Giroux and Voracek's playmaking abilities, how do you think them being on separate lines would turn out? Very interesting. So, if you were to split up Claude Giroux and Jakub Voracek together, I mean, it's happened before. It happened when, I believe, Jakub Voracek was out with an injury. They played him on the second line. And it kind of worked out when they had Hartnell and Jaromir Jagr playing together on the first line. So, I mean, it's been done before. I don't think it would work out too well because I think those two just have such a chemistry together that it would be... I don't think it would be good if you were to break that chemistry up. Like I said, Giroux and Voracek are a very dynamic duo. You saw it this year. I just think in order to bring those guys to an even higher level, you know, to get like a 90, 80-point season for both of them, you need that other winger there. No, not having a left winger in order to help those two guys out, I really does think hurt them in the long run. But like I said, if you get a first-line left winger type of player, power forward, another playmaker, another sniper, it just gives them more options, more points, and you know, I really think that'll help them out there. But it's been done before. It has worked out in the past, but that's when you have a guy like Jaromir Jagr on your first line and working with Claude Giroux. So I think it could work out. You need the right players there, but I don't think it's at that point in time right now, coming off a season where both of them really flourish together. I don't think it's a right move to split them up. All right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look at this one. We already talked about that. Come draft times. Let's see. Let's take a look at here. Any more questions for me? Let's see. I might as well just use my notifications because I know some people asked questions there. Let's see. Come on, Joe. Find the goddamn things. Here's a general one. Do you believe the Flyers will make the playoffs next year? That's an interesting question to make, honestly. Could they make a 180 like the Colorado Avalanche did that one year? Then again, the Avs had a thing where they drafted McKinnon, and that automatically made them like a playoff favorites. But do you think the Flyers will make the playoffs next year? I honestly think they could, because you're going to see some drop-offs definitely in the Metropolitan Division. I think the Rangers are going to come back stronger than ever. The Capitals, once again, are going to be a strong team to deal with. I can definitely see the Pittsburgh Penguins maybe taking a little bit of a drop-off year yet again. Even though Pittsburgh did make the playoffs this year, I think you're going to see some changes in Pittsburgh that you guys might not see coming. So I definitely think the Pittsburgh Penguins might have an off year this year. They might still have a good year, but it's not going to be as good as a year as they've had in the past. I think you might see players like Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin, if he's still there, have, you know, kind of downer years. I would not be surprised if that happened, but you could see some other teams maybe like, I don't know, Buffalo's not going to be good. Carolina, I don't think they're going to be that good just as of yet. Columbus, I don't know. Jersey, you know, you could maybe see the Devils making a little bit of a push if they make the right moves in the right places. I think New Jersey actually could be a very threatening team next year. I think their younger defensemen are going to get better. Some of their core offensive guys might get a little bit better, but they definitely need some more offensive threats. But I definitely think the Flyers could make the playoffs this year. It's going to be close. I don't think they'll be in the top 3 in the division because I think that's going to be New York. Who's going to be New York? Hold on. Wow, I'm really drawing a blank right now because I completely the hell forgot who's in the Islanders. I forgot the Islanders are going to come back just as good this year. I don't think they're going to have a drop-off year. Let me go into the standings here, and we'll take a look at the Metropolitan by division. Hold on. Take a look at it by division. Let's see who's in the Metro. Yeah, Washington is in there. So I see top 3 being the Rangers, the Caps, and the Islanders the exact same way I did this year. But I could see Philly and New Jersey possibly making a run at that wild card spot yet again. But, they're going to have some tough teams to deal with. Boston, Florida could come back even stronger. Detroit again. So it's going to be tough, but I definitely think they can maybe get a wild card or maybe third spot in the division, depending on how Washington or Pittsburgh actually ends up this year. But the Rangers I see as another contender for the top pick. And yeah. All right. What trades do you see happening off season? We already answered this kind of. I see them making a lot of trades with the defensemen. I think the Flyers will get Nikita Zaitsev now that they signed Medvedev. I'm not entirely sure who Nikita Zaitsev is, so I'm not going to answer that. Do you think, here's a good one. Do you think, from the 5 holes, do you think BOJoeKO will produce at the same rate next season? Possibility of him consistently being a top tier winger in the NHL. So that's a very good question. Do I think BOJoeKO will produce at the same rate next season? I think he will. I think having a year like he did this year will automatically give him confidence. Then again, it's going to spark the interest of more teams, rather, because I think one of the reasons BOJoeKO is very successful as a winger playing with Claude Giroux is because usually the top pair of whatever team the Flyers are going up against, they put their top defenseman or their top defensive forwards against Claude Giroux's line. So I think a lot of them forget about Jakub Voracek from time to time. So I think that opens him up a lot more to be successful, to get in there, to get some goals. And besides, I really do think Voracek, he uses his speed to his advantage. He gets in the right positioning at the right time. He's a force on the Flyers power play with a nasty kind of slap shot or kind of wrist shot that he has. But yeah, I do think, I don't think he'll have the exact same amount of points next year, maybe a little bit lower, maybe more realistic, maybe 60, 70 points, which honestly still isn't all too bad, but I don't think he will have the point total he had this year of almost a point per game. But 60 or 70 points out of BOJoeKO per year, I'm perfectly happy with that. If he gets that. If he gets 80, 90 points, hell, it's another great year for him. But I definitely think that he can still put up a 60, 70 point season. Let's see. There's only a couple more here. I'll do one more and then we'll call it a video. Here's a good one from Invented. What on earth do you do with Sean Couturier? Wait for him to redevelop that offensive side or ship him out before he loses value? Like I said earlier in the podcast, I definitely believe that Sean Couturier has every possibility to become a very good second-line center. But like I said, he needs that help on the wings in order for him to become successful. If you keep playing him with RJ Umberger and Matt Reed, he's not going to be successful. Instead of trading Sean Couturier, because I do think, although Couturier does not have that offensive side to him just as of yet, he's one of the better defensive players that we've had on our team. I mean, just go look at the playoff series between the Penguins and the fact that he shut down Evgeny Malkin in that series. So you can see that Sean Couturier has the possibilities to shut down one of the best, at least a top 10 player in the NHL from getting any sort of points whatsoever. So his defensive side is there. His offensive side, I don't know if it's there just yet. I think he's a great third line center. I really do. But if you want to get an offensive side out of him, you need to have some good kind of two-way players along with him that have that offensive side along with him on the third line. Matt Reed's a sniper. He has sort of an offensive side to him, but he's not really all that great. And RJ Umberger doesn't really have any skill whatsoever, so that's not helping him out whatsoever. But I think you keep him. If you trade any player on this team, you trade Brayden Schenn right now because he's going to have the most value. He could play wing. He could play center for any team there. If I had to trade anybody, I think you trade Brayden Schenn rather than you trade Sean Couturier. Why? Because he's younger, and I think you could get a little bit more for Brayden Schenn than you could for Sean Couturier, honestly. Yeah. All right, so that is it, guys. I'll pick a winner for that. I have all the people that did ask some questions there, but Other than that, I think that's going to wrap it up for our Flyers Talk podcast. My computer did not crap out this time, so that's always good to see. And like I said, I will try to be doing these Flyers Talks a little bit more frequently whenever, some new news is released. I think the next time that we will be doing this is either whenever some breaking news happens, I'll make sure to get something out for you guys. But I think next time we'll be doing a kind of a draft preview for when the draft does finally come around, or if any trades have happened before. Well, there won't be any trades before that happens. It'll only be like signings and stuff like that. But come draft day, we'll see what happens. I always do my little draft review on the Flyers picks and stuff like that. So you could definitely expect to see something like that. But big plans for Flyers Talks come the regular season again. And we'll do like a whole team preview prediction, that kind of deal. Probably using NHL 15 or 16 to build like a lineup of what I see the Flyers lineup to be. Other than that, I thank you guys for listening and enjoying. If you guys wouldn't mind leaving a like, comment, subscribe as always, guys. If you are new, always remember you guys can ask questions for the next Flyers Talk in the comment section below. If you are on Twitter, you can use the hashtag Flyers Talk. I'll always look through that before I start the podcast. I'll let people on Twitter know that you can ask questions using hashtag Flyers Talk. Hey, if you guys use hashtag Flyers Talk, more than likely there will be some sort of giveaway linked along with that, so you might have a chance to win something on in HUT, whether it's NHL 16, whether it's NHL 15. So always make sure to use the hashtag Flyers Talk to get yourself a chance to win something. And other than that, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys for another episode of Flyers Talk. See you next time.